Alright guys, another chapter of The Wishing Chair. It is chapter 13, and the name of this chapter is The Polite Goblin. Are you comfortable? Are you calm? Are you ready? Okay. The next time the chair grew its wings again, Chingy looked at it sternly. Make a stern face. Last time you were very badly behaved, he said. If you want us to come with you this time, you must behave yourself. If not, I'll sell you to the Jumble Man, and you won't like that. The chair flapped its wings violently, and Chingy grinned at the others. That will make it behave itself this time, he said. It wouldn't like to be given to the Jumble Man. Come on, let's get in. They all got in. The chair rose very slowly and flew out the door, taking care not to jolt the children at all. It flew so very slowly and carefully that Chingy got quite impatient. Now you're being silly, he said to the chair. Do fly properly, you're hardly moving. The chair flew faster. It flew very high, and the children could hardly see the houses below them. They even flew above the clouds, and suddenly, to the children's great astonishment, they saw a big castle built on a cloud. I say, look, said Peter in amazement. A castle on a cloud? Who lives there, Chingy? I don't know, said Chingy. I hope it's someone nice. Shh. I don't want to meet a giant this morning. The chair flew to the castle. There was a big front door standing open. The chair flew inside. Goodness, said Molly in alarm. This isn't very polite. We ought to have knocked. The chair came to rest in a big kitchen. A small goblin with pointed ears, green eyes, bony legs, and arms was sitting in a chair reading a paper. When the wishing chair flew in with Chingy, Molly, and Peter in it, he jumped up in astonishment. The children and Chingy got out of the chair. Good morning, said Chingy. I'm so sorry to come in like this, but our chair didn't wait to knock. The goblin bowed politely. It doesn't matter at all, he said. What a marvelous chair you have, and how pleased I am to see you. Please sit down, and let me give you some lemonade. They all sat down on stools. The goblin rushed to the cupboard and brought a big jug of lemonade. It's so nice to have pleasant visitors, said the goblin, putting a glass of lemonade before each of them. And now, would you have some biscuits? Now remember, biscuits are cookies in England, not like what we eat with chicken. Thank you, said Molly and Peter and Chingy. They felt that it was kind of the goblin to welcome them, but they didn't like him at all. He seemed much too polite. Another glass of lemonade? Asked the goblin, taking Chingy's empty glass. Oh, do. It is a pleasure, I assure you, to have you here. Another biscuit, little girl? I make them myself, and only use them on special visitors. But we aren't very special, said Peter, thinking that the goblin was really silly to say such things. Oh, yes, you are very special, said the goblin, smiling politely at them all. So good of you to come and see an ugly little goblin like me. But we didn't mean to come and see you, said Molly truthfully. Chingy frowned at her. He didn't want her to offend the goblin. He didn't trust him at all. He wanted to get away as soon as he could. Well, said Chingy, finishing his biscuit. It is kind of you to have welcomed us, but now we must go. Goodbye and thank you, said the polite goblin. He shook hands with each of them and bowed very low. They turned to go to the wishing chair. But then they had a terrible shock. The wishing chair was gone. It wasn't there. I say, where is the wishing chair? Shouted Chingy. Here are the pictures. This is the goblin serving them lemonade. And this is a double picture. is them getting up and saying goodbye. All right.
Why is this like this?
Where is our chair, Goblin? Oh, Pixie, how should I know, said Goblin. Haven't I been looking after you every minute? It must have flown away when you were not looking. Well, it's funny if it has, said Chingy. We should have seen it, or at least felt the wind of its wings flapping. I don't believe you, Goblin. You have done something with our chair. Your servants have taken it away. Tell me quickly, or I'll punish you. Punish me? Said the Goblin. And how would you do that? You better be careful, Pixie. How are you going to get away from my castle without a wishing chair? I live myself here on a cloud. Be careful, Chingy, said Peter. Don't make him angry. Goodness knows how we'd escape there if he doesn't help us. Molly looked frightened. The little goblin smiled at her politely and said, Don't be afraid, pretty little girl. I will treat you as an honored guest for as long as you would like to stay here with me in my castle. We don't want to stay with you at all, said Chingy. We want our wishing chair. What have you done with it? But he could get no answer from the polite goblin, and it was tiresome. That means tiring, exhausting. What in the world are they going to do? Chingy suddenly lost his temper. He rushed at the goblin to catch him and shake him. The goblin looked scared. He turned to run and sped out of the big kitchen into the hall. Chingy ran after him. Molly and Peter looked at one another. Chingy is going to get us in trouble, said Molly. He really is a silly Billy. If he makes the goblin angry, he certainly won't help us to get away. I suppose that naughty wishing chair flew away home. I'm quite sure it didn't, said Peter. I know, we would have seen it moving. The goblin came running into the room, followed by Chingy. Catch him, yelled Chingy. Peter tried to, but the goblin was like an eel. He dodged this way, he dodged that way, and then something funny happened. Peter fell over something that wasn't there. He crashed right into something and fell over, bang. And yet, when he looked, there was nothing to even fall over. He felt very much astonished. He sat up and he stared around. What did I fall over? He said. Chingy stopped chasing the goblin and ran to him. He put out his arms and he fell round about in the air by Peter, and his hands closed on something hard that couldn't be seen. What do you think he fell over? A rock?
Or the wishing chair.
Or the wishing chair. Oh, he yelled joyfully, it's the wishing chair. That deceitful goblin made it invisible so that we couldn't see it, even though it is really here, and he meant to help us home, all right. And as soon as we had gone, he meant to use our wishing chair for himself, and we would never know. Then it hasn't flown away, cried Molly, running over and feeling it. Oh, goody, goody, we can get into it and go home, even if we can't see what we're sitting on. Get up, Peter, and let's fly off before that nasty little polite goblin does any more spells. They all sat in the chair that they couldn't see. Home, wishing chair, home, cried Chingy. The invisible chair rose into the air and flew out the door. The goblin ran to the door and bowed. So pleased to have had you, he called politely. Nasty little polite creature, said Chingy. My goodness, we nearly lost the chair, children. Now we've got to find a way of making it visible again. It's no fun having a chair and not knowing if it's really there or not. I like to see what I'm sitting on. They flew home. They got out of the chair and looked at one another. Well, we do have adventures, said Peter, grinning. And that is the end of that chapter. Okay, do we have a problem? What was the problem?
That they couldn't fly home.
That they couldn't fly home because they couldn't find their wishing chair. And what was the solution?
Peter's fit.
Yeah, the solution was an accidental solution, right? They were chasing the polite goblin, which is probably not a great solution, and then Peter tripped and discovered that the chair was
There.
invisible. Now, what do they have to do? They have to find a way to get the chair to be seen again. And I have a feeling that that might happen in the next chapter. Okay, no reflections today. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you soon.